My name is Kathy Merriman. Travel is very important to me, and I've never been one to take conventional vacations. I think I would get bored if I had to sit around. I've always been very curious to learn about other countries and other cultures, so I jumped at the chance to go to Ecuador and visit the rainforest. As we landed at the airstrip, we were coming into the unknown to a certain extent because, despite my guide Miguel's best efforts, he hadn't been able to convince the pilot to actually bring us to Canas, the village that we were going to. Lucky for me, I didn't actually know how far it was going to be. They told me that it might take me 6 hours, but it turned out to be 9.5 hours of the most difficult walking I've ever done. I was very glad to see Miguel's family when we finally made it to the community of Canas. Canas is a community that, by North American standards, is very isolated. There were no roads, no vehicles of any kind coming in there, and the only communication they had with the outside world was a two-way radio that was powered by a car battery that was hooked up to a solar panel. The houses, because the construction was fascinating to me. It was beautiful. The houses were made of very small poles, and they looked like they could be quite frail, but at the same time you could see they were very well built. And Miguel explained to me that they withstand earthquakes very well, because in this area we're not far from the foothills of the Andes, and there's often earthquakes, but the houses, if they're well built, don't fall down. Santiago and Andre did a demonstration for us of a traditional greeting ceremony. The history of the Shuar tribe is one of a lot of violence and warfare. As they've been modernized, they don't need to do those things anymore, but the community I stayed with was trying very hard to retain and teach people about their traditions. So part of that tradition was making sure that a visitor who showed up at your house was a friend and not an enemy. So they had a ritualized greeting ceremony where they shook their spears at each other and shouted a series of questions and answers and greetings, and once they were finished, they sat down and had a drink together. This trip to Ecuador was more strenuous than I had expected, but it was very special to get somewhere where I had to rely on my body for transportation. That certainly doesn't happen in my regular life. And so in a lot of ways this trip reminded me of what it's like to really have to rely on myself and on other people, and it was a very positive experience.